mom is getting a blow. Oh my god. I knew. I was like, I know it, man. I told you mom was gonna be all like, oh, I'll use my sex appeal, yes. So, hello everyone, Myrmonden here. First of all, I really want to thank, of course, Kasuku-sensei, do mo arigato, for, of course, you know, spreading, liking the video, even commenting on it. It's always great, right? Talking to creative people. Like, if you don't know my backstory, right, I do a bunch of different stuff, but most I work in the game industry, right? So I really just love talking to, you know, creative people. I've been a lead game designer, right, so on for many years, and it's just fun talking to writers and artists and so on, right? So really appreciate that, absolutely. Do mo arigato. And how can I not read chapter 2 now then? Right? I feel the pressure. We need to read more about Mom's Revenge, right? But let's talk about it briefly here before we're reading it. So I really like chapter 1, right? You know, son gets heavily bullied, and then he gets murdered, right? And now Mom's out for revenge. But net the rest stuff too is a little bit of Henry, almost like, you know, so I liked it too. I also want to mention that, of course, I liked how Kasuku-sensei was commenting on my figures. It's like, well, here's Anya and so on. So I put on the heavy guns, right? Got my arena here. And comparably, this is the size of the arena figure compared to the Anya figure. I was like, I gotta compare this. I also put on one of my all-time favorite figures, of course. The Bible Black figure. The censored sideline here. I can't show the actual figure on on social media. But this is how the figure looks right from the sideline. There you can see the Bible Black text is covering her parts. But anyway, let's not really chat. I'm just gonna use her sex appeal, right? You know, her oppas and so on. I would think so, right? I think that was an interesting part of chapter 1 is that Mom, of course, has some AV stuff or whatever, right? And it definitely feels like this is like a dark twist on that. Like I said last week, you know, the ne to rare, Okaa-san, kind of like this kind of sphere of genre of hen stuff, where it's like, you know, it's like a MILF and so on. Yeah, it feels like that, like a MILF out for revenge, right? But she's gonna use that, you know, that body, right? Probably. And also she took the job as typical school sensei, right? The school nurse kind of character, school medical doctor or whatever. Yeah, so okay, that's reading it there. So she's talking to some random girl, I guess, at school. Well, I mean, sure, Mom also has to actually do the job, I guess. Now he's like, yeah, of course, Mom also has to. Oh, this is a random girl right there. She's like, oh no, this guy, you know, yeah, you know, yeah, whatever. So I'm sure she's gonna have to also interact with the other students, right, at the Gakko or whatever. And here we go, of course, using her head for a. See, I can't get. Mom is like using the forehead strategy, right? Mom is like, yeah, of course, using that kind of a sexy sensei appeal there, right? So now she, of course, talks to the main bad guy, right? And I have to say, I admit here, that I don't know necessarily exactly how to read his name's kanjis. Now, of course, I do know that he's the bad guy, and it ends with kun, right? The kun in hiragana. So I can read hiragana, and I can read, of course, katakana. And, you know, most kanjis, right? The kind of you need to be able to read Japanese. But sometimes you get those kind of like, that's a name. Yeah. But that's because it's his unique name, right? Then I get first I was a little bit like, what's that now again? Sometimes when you try to read Japanese, it's a little hard, yeah. He's coming in here, all goody two-shoe, right? And Mom, of course, pretends to like him or whatever. Oh, he got some poster? Oh, you want to hang up? Yeah, of course, he wants to hang up some. Oh my god, this guy is such a douche too. It's like he wants to hang up some. What is this? Yeah, like a Nakama, you know, like friendly Valentine poster. Oh my god, man. But of course, Mom, and this is obvious, right? Of course, Mommy here, she's gonna use her, you know, feminine mommy appeal, right, to, you know, snare him. And of course, she's gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, you can hang up the poster, honey bun, you're so cute. Yeah, of course, you're gonna be like, yeah, just do it. I don't mind, you know. Of course, you're gonna let him do this kind of stuff, right, to, you know, if they like her, right? Ooh, I love this scene though. Oh my god, see, she feels like a yandere mom, guys. This is what I mean. Look at this scene here. One thing I really like in this manga, though, right, is that Mom comes off as, you know, a yandere, let's call it Unigasai or whatever, right? I mean, obviously, she wants revenge for her dead son, but this kind of scene, right? One thing I like in manga is that Mom comes off as like a yandere, you know, murderer, psychopathic, yeah. Because in this scene, right, we see Mom standing behind him, she's like overshadowing him, it's kind of mean, but also I like how the art here is like, you know, her eyes are going right, and she's showing her, like, you know, her evil smile, like, oh yeah. Because it does feel like a typical yandere moment. And it's interesting with this character, because even if her son is dead, right? You could argue that she was in love with her son then, right? From a typical, like, yandere mom mode, right? Yeah, she was obsessively with her son. And of course now then with her like, love is dead, she has to get revenge for that, right? Because usually what we see in other mangas and animes is that the yandere character, for example then Onizuka, obviously the most famous yandere character, is that they will protect, they will kill people for their love, right? But as mom have lost her love, now she's more like, I have to kill them for my love afterwards. But it definitely is different, because yeah, most yandere characters are usually obsessively and like protecting them and so on, right? And they're very active during the storyline, and usually, of course, I guess a lot of the big difference is that usually the yandere is not the main character. In Happy Sugar Life, she is the main character, if you've seen it. It also reminds me of this manga, right? Happy Sugar Life. And I actually did react to the whole anime, so you can link below for that. That's a really good anime for that matter. Definitely an under the radar anime as well, right? Not many have seen it, because, like I said, similar to Mom here, it's interesting. We have a bunch of yandere characters, right? But it's very uncommon to have, like, the yandere actually being the main character, right? The yandere actually being the, perspective of the crazy girl that wants to get revenge or whatever. So in this manga anime, I've always seen the anime, but in this anime then, she of course is in love with this kid, right? That she kind of kidnaps, and then she like kills people to like, so they can stay together or whatever. And it's a really interesting anime, right? It has that one incredibly brutal death scene for that matter. I leave a link for that, for my reaction to that. But honestly, yeah, this is an anime where you're like, it's interesting. Just like this manga here, because yeah, we're following who usually is the villain, I guess. Of course, Bob isn't the villain, right? Because they deserve it, but like generally speaking, the yandere character is the antagonist, or something like that, right? But now I should please. Anyway, let's keep reading it. I just want to point it out that that's also one reason why I like this manga, right? Because interesting following a yandere character. Yeah, so mom looks kind of threatening, she smiles, she's very, milfy. Oh, and there we go! Mom is getting a blow! Oh my god! I knew! I was like, I know it, man! I told you mom was gonna be all like, oh, I'll use my sex appeal, yeah. So she's giving a guy, who's that, like maybe the principal or something? She is giving a guy, an adult performance, yeah. And then she's like, oh, of course, because... But this is why I like. This is why the reason I like the manga, though, because the reason I like the manga because I like MILFs, no, but also because it's interesting, right? It's interesting because, of course, she is full on kind of yandere, and she's really willing to do anything she wants, right, to get revenge. So of course she's gonna have sex or whatever, right, with men to get her point, right? And then now she's like puking in the in the sink or whatever of the school, I guess. But who was that guy? Was that Sad? Okay, maybe yeah, but whatever. He's like worse there. Doesn't really matter post too much. But yeah, she's puking over that. Thinking about her husband and her son, of course, and so on. But now it's all about the revenge. But yeah, that's one dirty flashback. That's one dirty flashback. Exactly. Yeah, that's one dirty flashback, man. Mom does everything for revenge, man. Jesus Christ. I'm not surprised though. We saw her AV stuff. I'm not too surprised. No. But I guess what's good here in the manga is that it kind of came out of nowhere. She's standing behind him, contemplating her revenge plan, right? And then she has like a flashback of her, doing it with some random guys. Like, it's kind of comes out of nowhere. It kind of comes out of nowhere, But I'm hoping that I'm gonna be right though. That I said in the first review that I hope she's gonna sleep with one of the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like, straight up, not because I want them to get pleasure, right? But I do want her to like seriously. I think it'd be a great way to like kill off this guy if she actually, sleeps with him, right? And then she maybe like, typical yandere, she like gets a knife and like stabs him in the bedroom or something, right? You know what I mean? Used to he's gonna like, that's what I expected. I thought they're gonna sleep with her son's killer, yeah, and then like kill him during the intercourse or whatever. Am I the only one? Am I the only one who believes that? Well, anyway, but that would be interesting. I think kind of what I expect honestly now, yeah, definitely. But anyway, okay, so mom is out getting some, sure, gonna get the level ups. Oh, now they're bullying a girl. I see, yeah, of course. Oh, she's puking. Oh god, this man puking, man. No, second puke here. That's the first female victim that we see him bullying. Yeah, this is the first girl we ever seen bullying, right? But I mean, not too surprisingly, they're also mean to, they was like blackmailing her and so on. Of course, her mom's gonna come in there and stop it. But this is interesting at the end, because, you know, in the first chapter, right, I was hoping that mom was gonna team up, you know, with, which could be him getting cross-dressing. Yeah, I was hoping mom was gonna team up with, because my mom is like, oh, I got you, honey. Oh, and mom is like touching her puke hand. Yeah, mom is very dedicated here. But it's what I mean. I think it's interesting here if mom, you know, teams up with the victims, right? Because there are clearly several victims at this school. So then mom confiscates his phone and so on, right? So that's a thing too. I guess she could like work her way around to like save the other children. I mean, certainly she's mostly here for revenge, but I can still see mom, of course, being like, oh, but I also wanna, you know, save the other victims, right? You know, of these of the bullies, right? But yeah, I hope, like I said earlier, that I hope she's gonna team up with the victims. You know what I mean? For example, one of my favorite mangas of all time, I mention it, I feel all the time, I feel that I mention it many times, is that I grew up, and I'm a huge fan, right, of Grand Teacher Onizuka, right, GTO, one of my all-time favorite mangas, and a big part of this actually is kind of similar to GTO, honestly. Let me bring it up, seriously, if you haven't seen GTO. So GTO is one of my all-time favorite mangas, like straight up, okay? Like I mentioned, I love this manga, I have all the manga, right, I even have the younger years, okay? There's this manga when he's a teacher, right? When, of course, Onizuka is this is the main thing. But it's an older thing called The Younger Years, but actually written before when he's like a teenager or whatever. I have that manga too, so I have read this whole... I read it many times in anime. It's all one of my first manga loves, right? And I keep to this day, I say this like one of my, you know, all top 10 manga animes of all time. And I think it's an incredibly huge manga too, right? For manga culture or whatever. But no one ever... But anyway, I love GTO. This manga here, Maria Danzai, actually reminds me of GTO. Think about it. I mean, it reminds me of GTO, right? Because while this manga here is more like sexual, and you know, she's like a MILF, she's using her sexual power, whatever, but she's trying to help the bullies or whatever. GTO is a guy coming to school, right? Taking care of bullies, you know? And then he usually like trains the other kids, right? Okay, he beats up some kids and he teaches them other kids to martial art or whatever. Like he makes the bullied victim, you know, learn to defend themselves and so on. You know, he's like a badass, he's like a Yankee badass, you know, like he's a kind of, you know, delinquent badass guy coming in there to take care of business. And of course he does a very iconic scene, the German suplex, right? When he throws the Kyoto sensei with the, that's like a very classic scene, right? One of my all-time favorite anime scenes. But actually, this manga, the more I think about it, really reminds me now of GTO. Yeah, it's like a MILF version of GTO. Instead of having a bad boy Yankee, you have a yandere mom instead. But they actually are quite similar in their actions and so on. Unless she's obviously more in for hate, for revenge strictly though. Like she has her agenda. But GTO kind of acts like her, you know. He kind of goes around and so on. And when I was a teacher many years ago, I was a teacher at... I've been it twice in my life, but anyway, then it was like, you have to call me great teacher Myrmonden. I was like, you have to call me that. I won't answer anything else now. But okay, so mom does like GTO thing. Oh, it's back to the gyro. Yeah, she goes from oppas now. Honestly, have they like given the gyro bigger titties? I think so. I feel they expanded her breast hair a bit since last chapter. She looks bigger this chapter. But okay, I guess we have some inner conflict now. It's like what happened with that phone and so on, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's gonna give him the money. Well, I mean, certainly he is forcing the other guys to give, yeah, I mean, okay, so he's like taking their money, they take money for people, and he takes money from some bully victim, and he gives him the money. He's like the ringleader, yeah, of course. He takes the money from other people, makes sense. Now he's getting it here, of course. Next man, this man gets so much bullying, yeah. So now they're out bullying someone else because he needs the money from this guy instead. Or is that? Oh man, yeah, like he's drinking him in the water and so on. Jesus Christ, man, this man gets freaking brutal. But yeah. Oh, I see. Mom finds a lot of stuff on the phone. Well, that's interesting, yeah, of course. I mean, we already saw them blackmailing, so of course the phone is filled with like blackmail by other students and so on. Yeah, she's like shoplifting or whatever, right? Some girl's breast or whatever, yeah. Okay, so... I don't know, maybe mom is not gonna kill them. I hope she's not kill them. But this also could lead into, I guess, that mom is gonna make them get arrested, right? Like, she can, like, find some evidence here that they've done all this crime and so on, right? All this blackmail and, you know, like harassing the other students or whatever. Yeah, she can find all this evidence, I suppose. Every time it is manga! And then I guess we see the other girl being, we see that girl he was punching, and she's being burned, and I guess she got ored, you know, I guess they forced her sexually, I suppose so. They look like they're burning her with the cigarettes, but it feels weird to me that they also wouldn't, you know, or her. Man, this is... Every Japanese school is terrible, man. I mean, it's like, God. I'm happy I didn't... No, I'm just kidding. I grew up in a way worse school. No, my school was bad too, man. Like, let's not derail the conversation. But honestly, I think that where I'm from, the schools are actually much worse than in Japan. much worse. But, yeah. My God, every goddamn... Oh, well, now you see mom taking off her panties. She's gonna sleep with someone? Maybe. Oh, okay, she got like a shrine. Yeah, she got the Yandere shrine for her son, of course. But this is like, I guess, makes somewhat more sense. Usually if you see a woman having like, you know, a shrine, right, of worship, so to speak, to the love interest or whatever. But now her son is dead, so it's actually like less of a weirdness maybe to it. But yeah, then she's gonna like sleep with his painting or something. Yeah, just in the bedroom. And then we see back to... Okay, it enters his phone. Maybe his mom. I'm guessing mom has planted herself on the phone, right? With, like she's gonna show her booty to him, you know? That's how I feel it ends, right, you know? He's looking at his phone again. And mom is probably, like, putting on a trap, right? See if I'm right on that, but I feel mom is, you know, honey potting him, yeah. I think mom is honey potting him. But that's again another great chapter. This manga is very brutal. It's obviously more visual than Step of GTO, but it does really remind me of GTO, you know, because there's so many GTO is also a manga about bullying. You know, GTO is a manga about, like I said, you know, the students being really mean, and he gets there, right. It's like the troublesome kids, and they are like harassing the other students, right, beating them up or whatever, or maybe even awing them. It's different kind of students, right. Different kind of schools, and he comes in there and takes care of it. No GTO is less visual, right? It's been like in the 90s, it's more, you know. But they have some really brutal scenes in GTO as well. So it does remind me of that, like he's finding his students being bullied or beaten up or whatever, right? But I guess here in the end, she, like I said, mom is more like, I can honeypot him, right? I think so. The splash, hot scene here, Atsui ending here. That would be my guess, right? She's gonna pull him in with her booty, right? Like we said so earlier, when she was giving that blow, you know, she's probably working like that. But I do like it that, I like it, so to speak, but I do like it that we see this girl also being bullied, right? Because before we saw them, they were only bullying, you know, mostly her son and so on. But of course, this guy got like a freaking, like a, how to say it, they got like a freaking system here of bullying. And as you see his mom, when she goes over the phone, right, they have taken images of that girl, like, you know, blackmail and so on. But that's one thing too, right? I suppose that this girl is doing all this crime, but that's probably because they were already awing her, so they were forced her into that, right? But yeah, it's interesting seeing there where mom is going over the stuff, and she has all this, like, oh, I got, you know, photos of this girl's breasts or whatever. Yeah, so it's like, they have like a freaking criminal ring here, right? Of crime and so on. But anyway, that's another great chapter, guys. Please subscribe, that was alright. Check out the course, Sensei's stuff is alright. You know, a new but I like these mangas, right? And I guess it, I don't know, epiphany to me, but like I said, I like Yandere's right, I like Happy Sugar Life, I like, you know, Miraniki and so on, right? I always like this stuff. And then, this kind of comes back to it. I don't know, it's like an epiphany, right? Because like I said, GTO is one of my all-time favorite mangas of all time. Like, it really is. It's my top 10 for the last 20 plus years. And for some reason now, I realize she's MILF GTO. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I cannot stop seeing it now. And I'm like, oh my god, she's Onizuka. She's like Onizuka with boobs. He even do the same thing if he was a woman. I was like, my god, it's awesome. But yeah, and guys, have a great day, and I'll see you soon with also Black Clover, of course, is back now, after, fourthly, Tabata Sensei has been sick again, right? But I think it's back, it should be back now, after like another 5 weeks, month break or whatever, right? So, that's a fortnight thing. I'll talk about it more in that video, but that's a fortnight with Black Clover that Tabata Sensei, he's been sick, like, on and off for, like, 1 or 2 years something. So, but still, I'm excited about it. It's gonna be a novel chapter I heard, so it's gonna be awesome. Anything else I have, a great day.